Hold on, because what you're about to hear isn't just another debate segment. It's the kind of moment that can quietly reveal what an NBA front office is really thinking. And if you're a Warriors fan, you need to pay very close attention to this. Before we break it all down, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop your opinion in the comments because this one is going to split the fan base. What happened on that set wasn't supposed to happen. Not like this, not live, not with a general manager picking up the phone thinking he's having a private conversation, and yet that's exactly what unfolded. But here's the thing. If you only focus on the shock of the call, you miss the real story. Because the 20 minutes leading up to that moment, that was the real substance. That was where the truth started to leak out. Stephen A. Smith wasn't just being loud. He wasn't just throwing out a hot take. He was building something, layer by layer, a precise technical argument about why Jabari Smith Jr. and the Golden State Warriors might be one of the most perfect fits in today's NBA. And for once, it didn't feel like performance. It felt like conviction backed by real basketball logic. He wasn't saying Jabari is just a good player. He was saying Jabari is the kind of player that changes how a system functions. And when you talk about Golden State, you're talking about one of the most system-dependent dynasties we've ever seen. Everything revolves around Steph Curry. His movement, his gravity, the chaos he creates just by existing on the court. Now imagine adding a player who forces defenses to make an impossible choice. That's where the argument gets dangerous. Because what Stephen A. was really describing is a modern evolution of Draymond Green. Not the same player, not the same personality, not even the same role, but the same structural importance, upgraded for today's game. A player who can defend multiple positions, switch seamlessly, understand rotations at a high level, but also punish you offensively in a way Draymond never consistently could. And that's where Jabari Smith Jr. enters the conversation. A legitimate floor spacer, a real shooter, not someone defenses can ignore, someone you actually have to stay attached to. And in a Warrior system, that detail changes everything, because every time Steph draws two defenders, every time the defense collapses, every time there's a split second of hesitation, that's where games are decided. And if Jabari is standing there, that's not just a bailout option. That's a weapon. But Shannon Sharpe wasn't buying it completely. And to be fair, his counter wasn't weak. It was grounded in something Warriors fans have been feeling all season long. This team is stuck between timelines. You've got an aging core still capable of greatness, but not invincible anymore. And at the same time, there's pressure to think about the future. So what happens if you commit to a 22-year-old on a long-term deal? You're not just making a move for today, you're defining the next 5 years. You're locking in direction, and that's where the hesitation comes in. Because what if the roster needs flexibility? What if the next evolution of this team isn't clear yet? That tension between now and later is exactly where the Warriors are living. But then everything changed. Because Stephen A. reached that point where debate isn't enough anymore, where opinions aren't enough. And he said the words that nobody in that room truly believed he was going to follow through on. Let's call Mike Dunleavy Jr. right now. And this is where it gets uncomfortable, because nobody stopped it. Nobody stepped in and said, wait, are we sure? Nobody assumed it would actually go through. And in that hesitation, in that split second of disbelief, the call was made, and he picked up. Think about that for a second. The general manager of the Golden State Warriors answers his phone in the middle of a workday, expecting a normal, controlled media conversation, not knowing he's about to be part of a live broadcast that could expose the internal direction of his team. His tone? Professional, calm, open, the voice of someone who does this regularly. And then the question comes. Direct, no room to maneuver. Jabari Smith Jr. and the Warriors. What's really happening? And that pause. That pause said more than any sentence could. 3.5 seconds. That's not confusion. That's calculation. That's a man running through scenarios in his head. What can I say? What can't I say? What's already out there? What could this turn into? And then he answers, I can't comment on discussions we may or may not be having. That phrase right there, that's where everything shifts. Because in NBA language, words matter, structure matters, and may or may not be having is not accidental. That's not the default response if nothing is happening. If there are no talks, the answer is simple, clean, direct. But this introduces possibility, and possibility in this context is everything. Before he could even continue, Shannon jumped in. That's a yes. And in that moment, you could feel it. The realization, the shift in energy, the understanding that something just slipped through. Dunleavy tries to correct it, starts to walk it back. But then comes the question that changes the tone completely. Am I on air right now? And just like that, it's over. The damage is done. The line goes dead, and what's left is interpretation. But here's where it gets really interesting, because if you go beyond the shock, beyond the viral moment, beyond the chaos, what you're left with is a basketball decision that actually makes a lot of sense. Golden State has always thrived on one core principle: maximize Steph Curry's impact. Every piece around him has to either create space, punish defensive attention, or maintain the defensive integrity of the system. Jabari Smith checks those boxes. He stretches the floor. He defends multiple positions. He doesn't need the ball to be effective. And most importantly, he fits both timelines. That's the part people are overlooking. He helps now, and he still matters later. Because when the Curry era eventually winds down, the Warriors won't need to rebuild from scratch if they have players like this already in place. Players who understand winning basketball. Players who don't rely on being the primary option. But here's the risk. Making this move means choosing a direction. It means saying, we believe this is the bridge between eras, and not every organization is comfortable making that call until they absolutely have to. So now the question shifts to you, because this isn't just about what was said on that call. It's about what it reveals, about where this team might be heading, about whether the Warriors are ready to evolve, or if they're still holding on to what they used to be. If you've made it this far, you already know this isn't a simple yes or no situation. So go ahead, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop your take in the comments because this is where the real debate starts. Would you make the move? Would you bring Jabari Smith Jr. to Golden State and bet on that fit? Or do you think the Warriors need a completely different direction to stay contenders?